Recording is in progress.
Hi, my name is Regina Salas, and I'm the founder of the JBS Foundation, Inc. And my collective goal is to bring connectivity to the African diaspora, the golden era, as well as African youth in tourism. The Union of the African Diaspora Summit Conference and Gala will bring forth national leaders to compel an impact for unity, development, prosperity, based on preservation and strengthening of our communities and democracies in all 54 countries of the African diaspora. With youth in tourism in the collection, we will bring forth a partnership for entrepreneurship through the food ecosystem, creating and exploring opportunities and careers in STEM throughout the African diaspora, sports and national tournaments, cultural arts, music, dance, financial literacy, mental health awareness, and spirituality. African youth in tourism has the purpose of promoting and fostering entrepreneurship, STEM, educational opportunities, financial literacy, mental health awareness, spiritual, cultural arts, and sports. Our vision is to bring forth activities that stimulate and practice of disciplines, especially in children and young people, providing exposure and experience and taking advantage of the free leisure time of young people and providing healthy activities, guiding them so that they can channel their own individuality. Furthermore, we must interact with all of the social agents, which are sports, educational, religious, artistic, public administration, institutions, and etc. Managing to include and connect a great amount of the African diaspora and providing benefits not only for one nation as a whole, but also for the neighboring nations and other cities and institutions throughout the African diaspora in which we will collaborate and host different events, connect the diaspora. We will be able to achieve in the primary beneficiary sensations of social importance and self-esteem, through a sense of belonging, self-worth, and appreciation by others. We have a large capacity of entrepreneurs in tourism in our network that align with our mission. Our collective goal and effort is to use the United Nations SDG 17 goal, which is a great partnership to achieve the overall 16 additional goals using tourism as a pivotal point. From there, we can go into the agenda now. And the next person who would like to introduce themselves, could they please start speaking? Andrew, could you introduce yourself, please?
Well, thank you so much. I was not prepared to actually introduce myself personally until 3 hours from now, but I am Andrew Williams Jr. I'm the CEO of the PARXTC, Export Trading Company, and the founder of what's called AHIABGA, the Ad Hoc International Advisory Board of Goodwill Ambassadors. We actually fully support your focus on the Sustainable Development Goals. We, as president of 5 Points Youth Foundation, I actually became a member of the United Nations Global Compact back in 2014. But the AHIABGA network is actually the way that we are managing our resources to co-create solutions. So among our guests this morning, include Lloyd Helferty, who was one of those first that was introduced to represent not just the country where he's from, Canada, but also the Commonwealth of Nations, as well as Francophonie or French-speaking countries, and more recently, what's called Turtle Island, all of North America. We also have a more recent addition to our team, Juliet Mayabo of South Africa, who has her own interests, but she has come aboard as to assist us with the media coordination. But in that regard, I'm going to acknowledge Queen Mother Nina Womack, who is here in Los Angeles along with me, whose efforts I support in every way. I understand she's actually part of this team, so I look forward to finding ways we can work and network together. Carlos Richard Sanko is the president of, as I understand it, what we call Unity Net Africa and the Diaspora. That was an appointment that Lloyd Helferty made. And again, we are here to support those efforts. So Patrick Nakoma is the only person I haven't personally introduced and invited to our network. But I'll turn it over to Lloyd to first make his introduction, and then Carlos to introduce anyone else. And then Juliet, you'll wrap it up before we have Patrick. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, you, Lloyd, or you, Carlos.
Yeah, sorry, I was just trying to unmute myself. I wasn't prepared for you to be passing on the baton to me either.
That's what you get for showing up first.
Yeah, okay. So I am Lloyd Helferty, and so I am with an organization called the AHIABGA University. I am their Chief Ecosystem Director, as well as a Program Development Director and Sustainable Society Consultant. And I'm headquartered, or I am in Canada, city of Markham, even though AHIABGA is actually headquartered in Manhattan. So I'm in the Greater Toronto area, Southern Ontario, Canada, what we call Turtle Island, North America. So AHIABGA University is a private 501(c)(3) nonprofit company in New York, member of the UN Global Compact, which Andrew just mentioned, a United Nations academic impact member and partner. So we are a virtual university. We don't have a campus, but we were created to help empower global populations to reestablish sustainable balance with their local environments. So we do this by designing and implementing projects that support strong and diversified local economies while we integrate the core sustainable technologies, different types of infrastructure into local communities in the areas of renewable energy, high density food growth, and systems for managing waste and protecting local water resources. So we are supported by over 375 companies whose products, technologies we employ. But what we really do is go into the communities by supporting local education and training in the construction and deployment and maintenance of all the various solutions for achieving these closed loop regenerative economies that we would like to see implemented around the world in local communities. So our goal really is to try to achieve and support self-sufficient sustainable communities. So right now, one of our main activities is actually to build this global unity network with and in support of the ad hoc International Advisory Board of Goodwill Ambassadors, which Andrew started. We are building the network so we can create these local, what we call INAP collaboratives, interfaith neighborhood academic and business collaboratives, which is a terminology that we actually took from the 5 Points Youth Foundation and expanded on the original interfaith neighborhood and business collaboratives. So we've now included academia because we want to partner with academia in the delivery of these learning centers that we now call Unity Gardens. So that's our main objective, is to build these empowerment networks in each of our local communities. We start with the planting of the trees of peace and reconciliation.
Well, thank you so very
as a
much,
way
Lloyd.
to engage.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that introduction. And we're interrupting only because I see our first speaker has arrived. So I'd like to turn it back to you, Regina. Would you like us to continue our brief introductions, or would you like to begin with the speaker?
Yes, I would like to continue brief introductions, not so much, like just introduce yourself, your organization, and your collective goal, and your underlying goal and objective, and
Well,
why you're here.
In that case,
Pardon?
I'll have to reschedule my first thought and ask Queen Mother Nina Womack if she's available to unmute and introduce herself, if that's possible.
Queen Nina.
Well, if not, then we'll proceed. Carlos, please introduce yourself. And if not, then Patrick, and we'll end up with you, Juliet. Patrick, are you able to unmute yourself?
Hi,
Thank you.
everyone. Good evening.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, guys. I'm late. I'm Piwe. I have just joined, and then I'll wait for the speaker to finish, and then I come in. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Can you pronounce your name, please? Biwi?
Piwe.
Afiwi, could you pronounce your first and last name, please?
Yes, please. We can't hear you there.
Oh, yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, very well.
My name is Piwe.
Peewee, thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hi. Hello.
Yes, Carlos, please proceed.
Yes, my name is Carlos Richard Sanko. I am the president for UnityNet African Diaspora based in Sierra Leone. Thank you. I sent already a major aspect of me through the chat. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Patrick, are you able to unmute?
Hello there. Thank you. This is Patrick Nkoma, the Continental Project Director for UnityNet African Diaspora. I'm here in Malawi. I also run the organization Transform Youth Life Foundation, Trial Life Foundation. Thank you so much.
Hello, everybody. I'm sorry, I had a call. I'm sorry. My name is Queen Mother Nina Womack, and I am a board member of the Africa Youth in Tourism and also the Diaspora board member for UnityNet African Diaspora and founder of Let's Be Whole and several other companies such as Transmedia 360 and Royal African Company. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Juliet Miabo, I intentionally asked you to come last because we do need to acknowledge the fact that this is, in my opinion, Africa Month, but more particularly, what we're celebrating is Africa Week. So I would like you to introduce yourself, and you can take 3 minutes, not 2. Go right ahead.
Oh, you're so generous. Thank you so much. Good evening. Good evening. My name is Juliet Miabo. I'm based in South Africa. I work in various parts of South Africa, particularly the townships. I'm the head of the Soweto CSI Council. I'm also part of the board for African Youth in Tourism. I'm the regional president for Gauteng. I'm also part of the Africa UnityNet and Diaspora. I'm on the board there in the areas of marketing and communications. I wear different hats, but I've been part of tourism in many aspects. I've worked with the Miss World and worked out their tourism strategy when they were here. But other than that, I worked as a consultant and developed digital marketing programs with a company called southafrica.co.za, where we promoted South Africa globally using the digital media. It's still there, it's very active and a very active tool to use, a very good tool. I work with young people. I've worked with young children and young people for the past 2 decades or slightly more. That's my passion. We work in the areas of sports. We work in areas of education. Actually, it's a more holistic approach. And obviously you can work with children without working with their parents, women, and the elderly. My passion is sport. I am a coach and I believe in sporting and in sport tourism, but I also believe in marketing people and the heritage of each area. And that's what I hope to contribute towards African Youth and Tourism Program. Thank you. And thank you for the additional minute.
Regina, back to you.
Thank you. Oh, all right. So I just need to mention that I'm also part of the AHIABGA-TV team, where I'm also being mentored in many areas by Prince Andrew Williams, the one who's hosting us currently. Yeah, and also I work with Professor Lloyd as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Regina, I see you're back with us. Are you able to unmute yourself?
Yes, I'm so sorry. It dropped out on me, my internet. I'm sorry. I'm back now. Yes. What did you guys discuss? What do you guys, where are we? My call dropped out for like a minute.
No worries. We just completed the introductions and your first guest speaker is here. So you may introduce her or allow her to introduce herself and make her presentation is what I suggest.
Hi, Pee-wee, how are you? We would like for you to speak now, and could do you have a presentation for us? Pee-wee? Can you hear me?
She's not, sorry, she's not in the video anymore.
Hello. Hi.
Hey,
We got
how are
you.
you?
Hello.
Yes, we're
I'm
ready
good.
for you to come on now.
Oh, okay. My name is Piwe Sitole. I am residing in the north of South Africa in Limpopo, where I'm running my tour and events coordination company. I am a qualified electrician by profession, cultural and social activist, a member of Africa Youth in Tourism, and a board member of YANA Women Center. So, okay, I have a few things that I would like to share with you guys. Ne? The unfortunate part is that I joined you late. Ne? But on the 19th, we had a hotel and hospitality show in South Africa, where we had a stakeholder, service providers of from other countries, and then for the interior design, anything that has to do with hospitality and tourism. So now, because I attended the event and the talk show, Joshua suggested that I come and share the tips of what I acquired there. Basically, which I think is a problem of the whole continent. Number one, we had an issue. I don't know if it's an issue or a challenge of the indigenous food in the market. Ne? The indigenous food in my basically understand that now I'm talking for my country, but I heard another chef from West Africa complaining about the same thing. So I guess this thing it's not only in South Africa, even on other countries. So we have a problem of culinary school. They're not giving our indigenous food the space that it must be given. You understand? They are not, they don't consider, because if you can check, a lot of culinary school, they teach this European dishes, the pizzas, everything that has to do with the European. I don't know, maybe if it's the target, is it mostly the target in the countries because they are the tourists. But we suggested that, you know what, COVID came in and it hit us as service providers hard, tourism service providers so hard. How about we try to change the way we were doing things, the way we were marketing ourselves and what we were marketing? Which the chairperson of Chef Association in South Africa agreed that yes, it is a problem, and we also discussed it when we were in Daba Travel Africa in Daba in Durban, that we have a problem. Our indigenous food are very limited, and this the European dish, the food that accommodate the European, they more expensive. So now that leaves the market a bit, I don't know how to say this, but they lack clients lately because a lot of people don't have money. So we need to bring our own food, our own indigenous method. We need to implement that even on our culinary schools. They need to teach kids how to cook our food as African. And then so that those people, when they travel to Africa, they know and understand what they're gonna explore and know what to expect. You understand? And then the second one is the rate of unemployment chefs in our continent. That we have a lot, because the other chef from, I think from Ghana or Nigeria, when he put the states, I guess it's almost the same as South Africa. A lot of chefs are unemployed, and now we're trying by all means to empower them. How can we empower them? As service providers, we need to create a space whereby if we get tourists from other continents like Europe, like Asia, those people like South Africa mostly. They like Cape Town, they like George, because we've got beautiful mountains there. Let us try to create something for them out of this. Let us try to actually help them build their businesses. Let us give them exposure to our tourists. Let us give them a chance, because really the rate of the unemployment, Chef, I think it's a problem in our continent as a whole, not only in South Africa. And then the third one, that the tourist attraction that has history in our continent. We have a problem. I think us in Limpopo with other chiefs, we actually now engaging and trying to fight that, you know what, we have a very beautiful tourist attractions, and we can actually try to do something with this, because now they have a history. We have Kgoshi Mampuru, we have Kgoshi Mujaji in Limpopo, we have Venda Tate. Now those places, they have a certain history, and people would love to explore. We need to also put this as we need to use this strategy to fight the unemployment of chefs in our country, because now if we are able to utilize the land, we are able to utilize the resources, and we are able to also utilize actually, how do I put it? We are able to utilize the land, actually, because the land is the only thing that holds value, and it has history. If we are able to utilize that, we are able to empower people from the villages, people from township, because there's talents there. People, young people can be discovered across that if we allow visitors to come through, and also it will improve the royalties of our kingdoms, so that the unemployment rate can decrease, and then we can create more jobs with this. And then lastly, what the chef has spoken about is that mostly these things are discussed, and then after discussed, now they don't have power to command the government, the authority of the government in countries like us in South Africa. It's a governmental issue that, you know what, they tried as chefs, they tried with their stakeholders. Even when we were there in Africa, in Daba, like, it's the same thing that we discussed. Now they say the problem is the government. Other things are discussed, but to implement, it's a problem. However, I personally think that we cannot mostly rely on government. We need to do, because now Africa is ours. Now we can't rely more on government. We have to do things on our own. We have to think of what will sustain us as people, because really, if we're gonna focus and rely on government, our government has failed us. So I don't know how we can actually try to establish. I like this platform, and I like the objectives of Africa Youth in Tourism. I think they can somehow meet the stakeholders, or meet whatever the challenges the tourism sector is having. We can actually unite and maybe come up with a solution, come up with a strategy that will help, that will give us maybe those are a way forward on how are we moving from this, because now COVID has actually, a lot of countries, I heard even when we were there by Indaba, they're saying after almost 2 to 3 years not having this, and now this time it was open because we had guests from India who came in numbers. Guests like that, when they come to Africa, they want to experience us. We are people of the soul. We are the landowners of here. So when people guests from India, guests from Asia, when they come here, they want to experience us. They want to experience our culture. They want to explore our country, what we do, what we eat, our doing, So now those are the things that we need to uplift. Our indigenous food, our own indigenous method. We have to actually uplift that you know what, government, please, please, please do recognize us. Please, please. In the sector of tourism, please do remember that we are African and then we have our own protocols, we have our own indigenous method. Let us not be forgotten, because tourism apparently in the country, it's the economical state of the country. Mr. President has stated that in the next coming 2-3 years, the sector of hospitality and tourism is the one that will create more jobs, because now the way it was hit hard, the tourism sector people have an idea of what to do from here. They found themselves, they had enough time to actually digest their target markets, to digest whatever the ideas that they would like to have. So when everything is open, when this lockdown ends, those are the people who will create more jobs, because now they are well established to their ideas. They are well exposed to whatever that they want to do, because they had enough time of thinking. So yeah, thank you guys. That was what I've acquired at the Hotel and Hospitality Show, and when we were there by Africa Travel in Durban. So I don't know if anyone would like to ask a question or would like to comment, or maybe tell us the challenges that you guys are facing in your country regarding the tourism sector. I don't know. But on my side, that's what I wanted to share with you guys. And thank you so much. So I'm going to wait for questions.
Moderator? Can I?
Someone has their hand risen.
Yes, I thought the moderator will share, but can I continue? It's Juliet.
Yes, Juliet, you can continue. Do you have any questions for her?
It's actually comments, if it's fine.
Yes, that's
yes.
fine.
Hi, Piwe. Hi, Sisunjan. Lekai?
Yeah, Pila.
All right, OC. Thank you for that. Yes, I was supposed to have been part of that couple of days conference and the gala dinner, but time didn't allow. To think that it was happening around the corner just from me, because it was here in Senton last week sometime. And I think the points that you raised are very critical. And having been in the tourism sector, I'm just going to pick on a few things that you said, so that I don't end up making my own speech, because I'm not a speaker here. Is that I agree with you that cultural tourism is very important, because as a country, we have to find our niche. We've always been known for nature, for trees, the animals, the big five, but there is an opportunity for us as South Africa to position ourselves around cultural heritage and around cultural tourism. As you know, that you do have a lot of people who go to Vilakazi Street to see, which is your political tourism, it's more like that. And they wouldn't pay much attention to the history of the very part of Soweto. So they'd be more interested in Vilakazi Street, the stories about Mandela, but there's a whole lot more to Soweto and culture, or there's a whole lot more to South Africa. I mean, you being from Limpopo, I know places like Zanini that are known, and I've been there for their beauty. There's a very rich culture around the people of Zanini. There's a big history that never gets communicated. So I agree with you in terms of the importance of marketing the indigenous people, or the cultural aspect of the people of the area, beyond nature, beyond trees, beyond the mountains. Tourists will admire the Table Mountain, but they would know very little about why there are colored people, and there's why there are colored people areas and why there are Black people areas. That history gets left out. So there are opportunities. So where there's a gap, there's an opportunity. And also, when you were talking about the indigenous food, that is so true. I mean, I keep thinking about mohodu.
60 seconds, 60 seconds.
Okay, let's see. In terms of indigenous food, you are quite correct. Things like mohodu, which are more affordable. And what needs to happen is that restaurants, even people in South Africa will get into that space. They cannot pitch those things at the prices of tourist prices, where Mohodu ends up costing 200 rands, while you can get it for 20 rands around the corner. So, and on the last point that I need to make is that the chefs that are unemployed need to look at entrepreneurship. They need to see how they can create their own businesses, because I think that is where opportunities are. It's the government will do very little for chefs, because I don't think that's really their area of focus, but entrepreneurship is a way to go.
Excuse me, Juliet.
Yes.
I believe that's all the time we have.
Yes, I'm done. Thank you. Thank you, Regina.
No problem. I'm sorry. I don't want to cut you
No.
off and keep everything
No, it's all
flowing.
good. I'm
Thank
done.
you. Thank you very much. Mr. Dominic, are you here?
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Mr. Dominic sent a message now saying he's on the way, but he'll join us soon. So can we please continue with other speaker, and then as soon as he's available, we can actually take him along.
Actually, I would like to suggest that we do have time to take the question. I see Isaac Ayadeli's hand is raised, and we do have two people that have joined us that haven't introduced themselves for 2 minutes. So perhaps Ayadeli, Regina would allow you to introduce yourself. Regina, would that okay with you?
Yes, that's fine. Could
Thank
please
you,
introduce yourself,
Prince
dear?
Andrew.
Pardon?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Prince Andrew, and thank you for the last speaker. I think it is time for us to begin to get it right in Africa. You see, apart from cooking for the
Dear. I'm sorry. Could you please introduce yourself before you go into your segment? Tell us who you are, where you're from, in your organization, and your underlying goals and objectives, and then you can continue on from your comments with Pee Wee.
Oh, sorry for that.
No problem.
My name is Ayodele. My name is Ayodele Isaac. I'm talking from Uganda. I am part of the, I'm the president of the Unity Net African Diaspora Uganda chapter. I'm also the COO of Tukatana EV NGO African and Europe. I'm an African. I just want to concur with what our young lady have just spoken concerning the African dish. Yeah, let me call it African dish. This is a very good and very interested conversation, because when you look at it generally, most of our youth has lost the value. Some of them don't even know how to prepare the African dish. I want to suggest, because at times we discuss on platform like this, it can also be a voice to the community that if the government can also involve some of these things, especially in area of education, to involve, tourists, whatever in our curriculum, African heritage culture in our curriculum, and how to prepare local food in our curriculum, especially on tourists, because if we are saying we want to promote tourists in Africa, everything needs to start from educational level. So most of the, we look at it that some of the youth go to school they are border students. There they don't know how to cook. They don't teach them how to cook. Some of them from border as this primary school to secondary school to university. By the time some of them even get married, they don't know how to cook for their husband. So this is a very good and interesting conversation that need to be more elaborate, especially to bring this conversation into a very big forum. So thank you. I really appreciate you for that good, for that wonderful presentation.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Yes, thank you for that. Those comments, and thank you for introducing yourself. Is there anyone else on that would like to introduce themselves now that hasn't? Hello.
Yes, yes, I'm here. I'm pure here. Okay. Okay. Thank you, my brother from Uganda. Sorry, I didn't get your name properly. Name. Thank you so much. And then I see over here, Sister Juliet Miabo is also in South Africa and is also one of the tourism service providers. So I have this thing in mind as we are talking now. How about when are we actually having the first convention of Africa Youths in Tourism, where we can actually exchange our culture, exchange the cultural programs, exchange the dishes, teach each other African. Let's just have that convention as the organization of AIT, and we'll have maybe delegate from South Africa. We choose a country and then delegate from South Africa, each country where we have our people, so that we come together and discuss this on how actually are we going forward with this issue as a continent. And I actually agree with you, Sister Juliet, when you say the chefs are, they actually, they don't, I don't know if they just consider them, or it's just that thing of chefs are just chefs. You understand? If they can look at entrepreneurship journey, they can actually make something out of their career, because now government, it seems as if it's gonna fail them if they rely more on government. And then I also like the idea of us teaching each other. I'm in South Africa, teaching somebody from West Africa our dish, and then them teaching us, something like that. So that when these tourists come, they know that they will get the quality of our continent, quality of our dishes as African. And also in terms of, let's also try to promote the villages. It's not only townships that needs attention. We have villages. Like me, I'm from a village and I love villages. I want to reside there. I can't stay in the city, or township. So I see a lot of countries, when they talk, they'll talk about township, the economic transformation. We have villages that also needs attention, and there's talents there. You can build something out of something there in the village, because now the history there, it's so rich, and people there, they are very kind, if for exposure, for people who want to explore and learn the tradition of that certain place. Those are the right people. That is the right location for people who wants to know about history. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We can move to the next speaker. Okay, I see now I'm the co-host. Mr. Dominic, are you there?
No, but I believe we do have Joshua. He was just in the waiting room.
Okay.
But I don't see him now.
Yeah, we can call on the next speaker.
Neither of the next speakers is here, to the best of my knowledge.
No,
Okay.
not at all.
So
okay, Sister Juliet wants to talk.
Well, before Juliet, we get who has spoken, I'm going to volunteer. Before she goes, I'm going to volunteer Mark P., who has not raised his hand, to introduce himself, since he's a guest here. If you'd be so kind, Mark.
Okay, no problem.
Thank
Sister
you,
Juliet,
Andrew. And
Mark, speak up, please, and introduce yourself, your name, your organization.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Barely.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, barely. I don't know what to do. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Awesome. So it's great being here in this forum, and a happy Africa week, if I might say. I've been on and off many of the forums that have been taking place, with some fantastic information shared and knowledge sharing happening. So I'm a co-founder of UnityNet, as well as a founder of Carbon Shot, where we're visioning at the intersection of regenerative finance and ecology to incentivize planetary scale action to build Earth system resilience. And the idea is that by doing so, we should be able to help all planetary beings thrive over here. But I'm happy to be over here and participate in these forums as well. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, guys. So do we have any speakers or anybody else that needs to introduce themselves? Everyone has introduced themselves thus far? Okay, and we don't have any speakers. I think I would like to go into the SDG goals and how could it collectively tackle our efforts with the African youth in tourism and hospitality and training.
Yes, please do.
Yes, thank you. I think that dignity for all is a clear component of how we can use the SDG goals to leverage poverty, the zero hunger, the good health and well-being. I think that smart city models incorporates, if it incorporates every component and you build out a smart city development model, that we can be able to build sustainable models for our cities as well as for our youth. Incorporating an after-school program as well as units that have agriculture components in it and grocery stores. I think that's the level that we can use to bring forth to stop mass poverty as well as gender equality and clean water. I think with strategic partnerships and collaborations like we have here today on this call, that we can be able to go further together and we can reduce the inequity that we face every day in Africa and abroad. And I also see in the chat that Lloyd, I believe that's his name, that he's talking about Global Unity Network and a template along with many other partners. So that goes in hand with the African Youth in Tourism as well as the Unity Net. So if we're able to bridge that gap and put everything together, and I see the kitchen incubators that he's mentioning, we can teach our children how to grow their own products, create their own products, as well as sell their own products for youth entrepreneurship. And that's what I believe the self-sustainable communities is great for. So as well as gardens, because that's the rooftop. So yes, Lloyd, I love your idea and I love how you're putting everything together, and I would like to speak about that. Do anybody have any comments on that?
Hello. Yeah, Pure here again. Yes, thank you so much. I also like what Mr. Lloyd has put down. I actually just wrote now there. Can we please add him on our WhatsApp group, and then we'll discuss further his proposal and see where he can help us and how to do this collaboration.
Well, I'd like to go one step further, if I may, and suggest, since we don't have a current speaker, if Lloyd, you take time to actually review with us the information you put in the chat, so we can address this right now, if you're available, Lloyd.
Apologies. I've actually been looking for the link to. We do have a smart communities network as well.
Let's start with what you put in the chat, please.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm seeing an African Youth and Tourism Network, and this is the network I'm already a member of. Actually, I believe I'm a member of that discussion group already. And we're having conversations about that, and so I'm thinking that there's a possibility for collaboration with UnityNet International to expand that to create a global youth and tourism network. And that was the last proposal that I put into the chat. So I can work with people like Regina or whoever is leading the African Youth and Tourism Network to help expand this mandate, so we can begin this process of localization as we look at finding ways to really promote the local cuisines in all local communities. like my own experience. I mean, for instance, I traveled quite a bit in Asia, and I know that, for instance, where I first landed in Asia was Taiwan. And my experience in Taiwan was, for example, the Taiwanese railroad, and it wasn't the government, it was the railroad, set up a program where they were promoting the local dishes at each railway station. You could actually get a lunchbox that featured the local cuisine of the local community in the lunchbox you buy. So if you got hungry at this particular railway station, or you knew a railway station, you wanted to buy that particular dish because you knew from the railway company that that particular station, this is where they sell this particular dish, and you wanted to try that, you could buy it only at that station. And they would actually have people, like on an airplane, they would have a little cart going up and down the aisle in the rail, in the train as you are traveling from city to city, and they would sell the lunchbox only like after you stopped at that station, and then they would change the lunchbox between the next station with a different lunchbox, because it would be just the local community that they would sell that dish. So these types of ideas, and they really promoted each local community and what they were selling in Taiwan. I mean, that was the example I experienced myself. And I think that's a model we can actually learn from these other places around the world and how they do things.
Well, thank you so much, Lloyd. And speaking from my own personal experience and the mother, Nina, we do want to encourage you who are involved with this group to think about engaging your local businesses. As Lloyd just suggested, it was not the government, it was a train that provided this local support. Here in Los Angeles, for example, we have an extensive bus system, and it connects hundreds of miles of people around the Los Angeles County. But recently, because there's going to be a new train opening later this year, they've offered all the businesses along that route free online webpage or internet access to their local businesses. 5%, only 5% of the businesses have taken advantage of that. So I suggest that you consider ways you can involve your local businesses with that. Thank you. I'll defer to the next person. Juliet, I saw your hand raised and lowered, so I'm not sure if you have a comment. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to raise the point again to Piwe, and to say that, I mean, tourism might not be, and I think this applies a lot in most African countries, but tourism is more of a private sector business. And my recommendation is that please encourage all the other young people that you work with to join networks, both global networks and local networks, because at that SMME or enterprise development space, that is where the conversations are happening in terms of getting opportunities for young people who've just graduated. I just came from another meeting this afternoon where there are a lot of opportunities in the Gauteng tourism, and even in other provinces, they take examples from a province like Gauteng, and then they implement, like Limpopo, we've had discussions with them. So they look at what Gauteng is doing, and then they replicate that. So get involved on a national level on networks. And there's a township and rural entrepreneur propeller. I think that's what it's called TRAP. The government is looking at giving entrepreneurs, doesn't matter how long you've been in there, especially in spaces in the rural areas. So you can only know such information if you are part of those networks. And I know this for me is also slightly personal, because my brother was into culinary art. He had a passion for it. He got frustrated when he left Gauteng, but there are a lot of opportunities. And there are a lot of young people that we've taken. I don't know if you know HTA, it's just around the corner from where I am. They have a huge intake of Black students, but I always ask myself, where do they end up? So you have people who spend years at the culinary school, very top culinary school that the government has paid for, but they end up working at KFC or at McDonald's. So I'll just leave it at that and say, please, you can always contact me. I'll give you and I'll put you in groups where you are able to share and have access to such information. Okay.
Thank you very much.
You. Yes.
Regina, the floor is yours.
Hi, you guys. I'm back. Hold on a second. I would like to record. Yes, I want to do a presentation for my speech. The JBS Neighborhood Food Co-op Market, a Live Work Care Play model. It's national and is great throughout the African diaspora as well as the United States. And it tackles mass poverty, education, housing, development, agriculture, as well as entrepreneurship. The first page we have here is the fresh vegetables and fruit. The concept in the, hold on a second, let me go over some. Hold on a second, you guys. I have the wrong presentation here.
While you're doing that, I will say that Pee-wee, you and anyone else can share your screen if you have a presentation or a website or anything else you'd like to share that's relevant to our topic today. Everyone here can do that. Back to you, Regina.
I have the correct one now. Yes, I'm sorry about that. Yes, work, live, play model. As you guys can see, is a food market, which would be on the first floor. The food market is an essential part of the program because it is a interaction between the producers with the consumers. Unlike food courts, which are made up of mainly fast food chains and franchise restaurants, food halls are a mix of local food and beverage vendors that are created for food experience. Industrial kitchens are classrooms that are cooking and food workshops for people around the neighborhood. The industrial kitchen is actually a food incubator space. I don't know about nationally, but I know here in the United States that 400,000 Black-owned businesses went out of business. And majority of those business was culinary business. The culinary industry took a major hit. I'm a culinary arts graduate. I went to Le Cordon Bleu as well as Johnson Wales University. So being able to provide fresh food, fruit and vegetable is very important for me. So that's why my kitchen incubator space inside of the work, live, play model implements a kitchen incubator, because the culinary businesses that went out of business can also come there and they can pivot and they can use the kitchen space to be entrepreneurs. And we can also use it as an instrumental kitchen for our youth as well, teaching them cooking lessons. Yes. And the concept provides fresh fruits and vegetables for our community, as well as for our children, as well as for our residents. This is the first floor of the 4 plans of the master plan. This is the second floor. This is the third floor. The second floor actually has, sound plugs, I'm driving. I'm sorry, Queen Mother Nina, I just read your message. The second floor actually has working spaces. The floor right above that has office units, a community center, a rooftop self-sustainable garden, and a swimming pool for our youth to be able to utilize everything that's there. So it's actually a like work, live, and play with the educational units, the living units, the office units for entrepreneurship, and the grocery store to tackle mass poverty, like I stated. And these are some conceptual designs here. And our African youth in tourism, they're able to utilize this as well, because they're able to grow their plants and their products, and they're able to learn right where they live at. So you're able to live, you're able to work, and you're able to do that, everything there centrally. And as well as a health component is a clinic there as well. And in the clinic is mental health, a wellness center, and everything. And it tackles tackles transportation. So it tackles transportation so that we are able to do everything there, and we don't have to depend on catching a bus 2 hours to work and 2 hours from work. So everything is centrally in it. We're able to grow and evolve and pivot in our lives. And it has restaurants and the bar look, and this is the cafe look and the feel. Covered seating look and feel. This is the indoor local market look and feel, like I stated before, and it's a cooperative. So if you work there, you're able to buy in as well with ownership, because community ownership is very important for me. And for the community, I believe that we don't have any ownership into anything as people. So they're able to buy into it. They're owners of where they live and where they work as well. This is more of the grocery store feel. This is the retail look for the commercial spaces. This is the dining hall where you can eat. This is the vendor look and feel. And this is the kitchen incubator look and feel. This is the kitchen classrooms, like I stated before, for our youth. This is the co-working space look and feel. This is the residential units look and feel. And this is the library look and feel for our youth as well. This is the community center where they'll be learning STEM activities, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And this is the swimming pool look and feel. And that's it for you guys.
Well, thank you so very much. Do you have any budget outlines to go along with this plan?
Yes, I do. $22 million is the budget for it.
Well, thanks for sharing. I'm just bringing that up because another of our events that Lloyd has been able to orchestrate happens on, I think it's Wednesdays, might be Tuesdays, but I'd urge Lloyd to put his contact information in the chat so that you can connect with him, because we do have the Russell Institute that's devoted to working with projects like yours that may be able to expand in your local area, but also either nationally or internationally. So Lloyd, I'll encourage you to put your contact information in the chat. Thank you. And we do have new guests that are coming in, or new participants. I don't know the names, Regina, so I'll turn it over to you.
Yes, me and Lloyd is already connected. We had a meet already in regards to this. He just haven't seen the presentation yet. This is his first time seeing the presentation. So
Wonderful.
We're already in partnership. Thank you. Who's new and who hasn't introduced themselves? Who just came into the room just now?
I am Pash Obing, and I'll be speaking from Ghana. Thank you. Pashington Obing is the name.
Nice meeting you, Pashington.
Thank you. Same here.
What's your organization and what is your underlying goals and objectives for African youth in tourism, and how do you see yourself growing and evolving with us?
Okay, I know that I don't speak till 6 p.m., but I wanted to key in before then. I represent the Pan-African Heritage World Museum. Pan-African Heritage World Museum. And so we are into tourism. We are into finding ways of supporting the youth and preparing them for tomorrow.
Well, thank you, Regina. Under the circumstances, if his presentation is ready, then perhaps we could allow him to slot in, but I'll leave it up to you.
Yes, is your presentation ready for us to present?
No, I can wait till 6, so I can go lie low till 6 p.m. my time, and then I will come on.
Well, the reason why we're asking is because we've had other guests that were scheduled that have not appeared. So we do have open slots.
Oh, okay.
And the sooner,
Okay.
the better.
All right.
Actually, I would prefer for you to go now so we can keep the program moving, And that at a standstill and we're paused because our presenters are not yet on our call. So if you can present yourself and your project and we can move and pivot from there. And then when they come on, we can utilize the schedule and utilize the people as they come.
Okay, so you want me to share
Yeah.
my thoughts now?
And your
If
screen
that's
if you
fine.
choose. Yes, you can also share your screen if you choose.
Okay, now I mean, I can, again, my name is Passionton Obing, and I represent the Pan-African Heritage World Museum, which is sited in Ghana, West Africa. And I have been invited to come and talk about tourism, inclusivity, and hospitality, and the place of the youth in this whole endeavor. So if you are ready, I can share my few thoughts, and then if there are questions, you can save them till when it opens up for people to ask me questions. If that's okay, I can share my thoughts now.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we ask those that have questions to put them in the chat so that when you get through, we'll be able to move in an expeditious manner. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Okay. I am coming at this whole wonderful experience by dipping into the importance of tourism, notions of hospitality and inclusivity as understood in the African context. I begin with a proverb that says, until the lion tells its own story, the stories of the hunter will always praise the hunter. This is at the heart of what the Pan-African Heritage World Museum is seeking to do. Because it is only when we tell our story that we are able to let the world know that we have perspectives on how the young people or even elderly people can function effectively in this world. I am also drawing on 3 words. The first is what I'm pretty sure most of you have heard about. It's Ubuntu. I am because we are, and we are because I am. That understanding of interconnectedness reaches beyond the present and our abilities to relate to one another. I say it reaches beyond because it borrows from the past by borrowing wisdom and experiences of our ancestors, finding ways of strengthening the bonds among the living of today, and then relating in such a way as to project into the future, posterity. I have heard the expression that the future belongs to the young people. To some extent, that is true. And very often people say that the young people are the leaders of tomorrow, and that is true. At the same time, I think it is also important to say that there is no society that is viable that only depends on the resources, the ingenuity, and skill set of the young people. It's important for us, therefore, to travel together. Why? Because we are part of a continuum of relationships that reach back into the past and then flows into the future. And I'm also offering what I'm pretty sure all of you know, that among people of African descent, when we talk about community, we are not just talking regarding the living. We pay attention to the past, and then take seriously how we mold the present, drawing on the past, and then projecting into the future. Let me also share with you another thought that I hear operates in some parts of Uganda. It says that in indigenous or traditional setting, the elders in the family, when they are gathered to eat, would take a morsel or a portion of food and give it to the youngest in the circle and say the words, "With this food, I give part of me to you." That is to say, feeding one another is much more than providing food. It involves the extension of the individual's soul or spirit to the young, and then encourages the young to do likewise. So then, where does this lead us in terms of the role of the young people and the invitation for them to show hospitality and also to take seriously their responsibility as they dip into what tourism is all about? The Pan-African Heritage World Museum is not just a place where people or guests will go and see and experience and walk away. It is a place that promotes interactive nature between what the museum has. The museum is being sited between Accra, the capital of Ghana, and Cape Coast. So it's about 45 minutes drive from Accra towards Cape Coast, where some of you may have heard has castles and dungeons where enslaved Africans were kept before they were put on the Atlantic Ocean to the various places. The museum has places for herbal plants. It has a section for heroes and heroines of Africa. It has a section for archival material. It has a huge dome for a theater that will host about 1,000+ people. And then the goal is for us to be able to hold events. We are even dreaming big so that we can have a day when the Emmy Awards could take place in Ghana. Not only that, we are also going to provide a conservatory, a Pan-African conservatory, where musics that have scattered around the world, places where descendants of Africans live, can all be brought together in this theater so that Africans and Afro-descendants can share their gifts with the world. As I travel around, I've come across how certain dishes that originated in continental Africa can be found in Cuba, in say Barbados, Bahamas, and other places. And so, as part of hospitality, can you imagine the moment when people assemble in Ghana and they are given the opportunity to taste food that originated from continental Africa, but then has traveled to Brazil and Guyana and others. And then people are taught that these ingredients, were first prepared or put together in continental Africa. So I understand hospitality in a larger sense. It's not just providing shelter. And I'm glad that I saw how a beautiful the diagram or design was being presented to show how accommodation could be provided. But then in the larger context, hospitality also entails the giving of the self, as I said, with reference to the Ugandan experience. People can provide spaces for accommodation, but until their very selves, their very persons are part of what they are rendering to those that are benefiting from that hospitality, it becomes a dry, empty gesture. This is not to critique other people's spaces or places of hospitality. All I'm saying is that hospitality is full when the very selves of those that are accommodating or hosting the guests are part of the hospitality. Further, I am also aware that the way that people are defined or personhood is defined in parts of continental Africa is broader, vaster, more complex than those that can express themselves as I'm speaking with you today, or wear clothing as other people do, because personhood also entails certain values that the individual is able to exhibit, such as kindness, hospitality, generosity, care for one's guest. When somebody visits another person and does not experience such sense of hospitality, there is an expression, which is he or she is not human, or he or she is not a person, which is a powerful statement. Why? Because personhood is related to one's ability to show kindness, hospitality, generosity towards one another. Now, I just wanted to bring up some of these elements that undergird our notion of the Pan-African Heritage World Museum, whose digital presentation took place on May 5th of this year, which was just about a week ago. So those that are interested in knowing more about this museum can Google or search Pan-African Heritage World Museum. And so it's a place for giving hospitality that is undergirded by our notions or African-focused sense of hospitality. It's a place where the human body is fed, but fed in a way that carries with it the sentiments of what feeding is not only for the body, but also for the totality of the person. Further, the Ubuntu idea that I mentioned at the beginning underscores the fact that whatever we are doing, we do not believe that we can go it all alone. Why? Because I am, because we are, and we are because I am. It is the intertwining relationship that I hope if all of us are able to draw into what we are doing, we then will be able to travel alongside one another and demonstrate a sense of hospitality, and then expose others to what we are doing so that they will feel that they are part of a new sense of tourism, which is not a passive one, but it's interactive because allows the host to play a key role in the spaces where the hosts and the guests are interacting with one another. And I see that images of what was presented during the digital museum are being shown you so that you could go ahead and visit the virtual spaces as captured on May 5th. And I would also say that on on August 30th, the second part of the digital museum will be presented. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to share with you some of the thoughts that I have. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And we'll allow for there to be any questions, but then perhaps before you leave, you can walk us through this website. But the floor is open for any questions. If you can either raise your hand, or Regina, if you can see questions in the chat, I'll turn it back over to you. Ayodele, it looks like you're first.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
thank you.
would like to know, how do we get involved with the museum?
Okay, so if you could kindly give me your contact or give it to the planners, and then so that we can communicate. My name is Professor Pashington Obing, and I'm the current CEO of the museum. And so if you contact Joshua in Ghana, he will give you the contact information. I think it's Joshua who is allowing us to see part of the digital museum. And
yes,
I could also take
available here. Yes, it's Joshua. I'll be sharing information regarding developments on the museum. Thanks so much, Prof.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right.
Thank you. I look forward to connecting with you. Yes, we have some questions in the chat. It says, Juliet, do you have any questions?
Mine is a comment, which is, first I'd like to thank Mr. sorry, I don't know if it's Professor Obeng, the
Yes,
CEO. Thank you so much. Thank you for this extremely insightful presentation. And what I like about it, it's such a thematic carry on from some of the issues we're discussing yesterday and issues that I always raise. And this ties up to what I always say, that as Africa, we need to start finding our unique selling points. We know that there are certain things that tourists look for, but at the same time, what is unique about us is Ubuntu Betu. The things that you're talking about, those things that make us people, those things that make us Ubuntu. And I'm also quite pleasantly surprised that even in Ghana, you also have that distinction, because even in South Africa, we have a distinction between an Ubuntu. So when someone is not behaving in an Ubuntu way, they are not classified as a person. So they're already, they get excused that I don't know about that person. That person is not an Ubuntu, or that person is not a person. So that means there are classifications in terms of humanity. And those are things that I always promote, that those are aspects that we need to promote about ourselves as African, and that's what makes us very unique. And I'm very excited to see that you are promoting the interactive part of our culture. You've said a lot of things that are actually wonderful, and I'm now excited about what is happening in Ghana and the similarities to South Africa. When someone doesn't greet, or when someone behaves in a certain way, we just say, in Zulu say, it's not a muntu. So that means we forgive them because they are not, so we're assuming they were never taught or they were never raised properly. Yes, and everyone else aspires to be classified as umuntu, and that's what creates positive communities. And when we lose that, we become very destructive as communities. Yeah, and thank you again.
Well, thank you also for your kind words. Thank you.
Ayodele?
Thank you, Prof, for that wonderful presentation. There's something which came to my mind, which I'll be sharing, especially how we can use our culture and
We lost
Ayodele,
your
are you
voice.
there?
And our culture and our, especially, yes.
Go ahead. We lost
Can
you.
you,
Go ahead.
can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
very clear.
Yeah, Prof, I was appreciating you for that wonderful presentation. And I can see that you have traveled to different African countries to know some of the culture about some of these Africa. But with something which came to my mind, we shall be sharing with some of our leaders, some of the African leaders, is how is it possible, especially to see how we can use both the culture and the tourists to promote the unity of Africa. When you look at it, at times we still have a challenge of hostilities, African to Africa. At times, you see what happened between Nigeria and Ghana, where some of the Ghanaians will be attacking Nigeria, and where at times Nigeria, some of the hostility among ourselves. But I believe that we can use different approach to promote the unity among the African, especially our youth, to see how they can become friends to one another through this culture and the tourism. So I don't know what you think about that and how, because we are looking at probably maybe we can be organizing an event of what we call either African Culture Day. We can divide the African into 6 regions or 5 regions where we can say that, okay, we are doing this event either in South African region this year, where people come from different countries to come and, display their culture. We are talking about African dish, where people from Nigeria, people from the West African can come, prepare their West African dish, prepare different kind of food, where the South African also prepare their own. We exchange, they're having an exchanging of local food within ourselves. And also maybe the following year, we can say we will be having it in East Africa or West Africa or Central Africa. So I don't know what you think about that, sir. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And I don't want to take too much of other people's time, but you have hit the nail on the head. Because if the continent of Africa has the largest population of young people, and then take young people of African descent dispersed around the world, can you imagine the power of the imagination and the fact that some of the senior people or elderly people who were around during time of colonialism and the division or dismembering of the continent of African nations, which we have inherited and are still holding on to some of these divisions. That's why a Nigerian needs a visa to go to Ghana, and a Ghanaian needs a visa to go to South Africa. But it's about time that we could use, as you are rightly pointing out, even culture, our music, our food, to become rallying points, regardless of what the divisions are amongst some people that spend their hours in parliament and so on. We will be able to forge that so that it will be a groundswell. So from the grassroots level, we can come up with ideas of exchanges, of then defying the boundaries that have been imposed on us since the Berlin Conference. So thank you for that comment. I agree with you. We can start that, we can ignite it, and it will work. Thank you.
In this case, I see Joshua, you've joined us. We do thank you so much now that you recovered your connectivity, but I think it's only proper, Joshua, that you take this time to introduce yourself and the organization so that we can proceed with a better understanding. Joshua, can you unmute and introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you so much. My name is Ibiwike Joshua. I am a native of Rumeprecom Kingdom in Nigeria. I'm currently based in Ghana. I'm the creator of the African Youth in Tourism Network, which was formed 27 July 2020.
Hey, we can't hear you.
During the African Youth Tourism Summit organized by UNWTO Mastercard Foundation, Spora, the link in the chat. So now, hello.
Yes. We can't hear you, but you can put your information in the chat and we can go from there. Okay.
Okay,
You're
I've
breaking up
sent a
terrible.
message in the chat.
That's fine.
Okay, hi, Regina.
I think
Yes.
Mrs. Dominic is next. Is on the chat.
Let me
Yeah.
just get in for like 5 minutes, and then you guys can continue. So I'll just represent I'll just represent AYT Network, because when it started off, it was myself, Mr. Josh, and a few.
What is your name? Please introduce yourself before you begin speaking. Thank you.
All right, that's fine. So I'm Mr. Dominic Chapuma. I'm speaking from Zimbabwe. How we actually met with Mr. Joshua. We met at the Africa Youth in Tourism Summit in 2000. It was last year. It was in 2021, and then that's how we started this network and developed the basics of what it is now. The whole point is to unite all the youth in tourism and travel in Africa and help them create sustainable livelihoods out of tourism. So we've had now up to, it's going to be a year on the 27th of July, because when the summit happened, it was on the 27th of July last year. Myself, I'm actually, I was top 5 in Africa at the Africa Youth in Tourism Summit and Innovation Awards in 2019. So by the time I met Mr. Joshua, I'd already been an alumni of the whole network. So what we're doing now is we're making sure that there are chapters or leadership presence in every country in Africa. And we've been doing that stage by stage. We've got at least 14 countries represented by the Africa Youth in Tourism Network now. And we expect to grow that moving forward. So we're going to be having an official launch in July. Should be the 27th of July. Madam Queen Nina, you can confirm, right?
Yes, 27th of July, we're having our official launch.
Yes, exactly. So it's the 27th of July. We're officially, yes. So we're officially launching the network from Ghana, and then we want massive participation around that. So everyone who's part of this seminar now, just take note for sure. We're making noise around Africa, and we're doing it one nation at a time. So we're already up to 14 countries involved. We want to expand that to all the 54 countries of Africa. And we're including the diaspora as well, because the diaspora is part of Africa. The Caribbean, for example, they got the Black nations from the Caribbean came from Africa through slavery. So I'm making sure that that's involved as well. So what we're expecting now from everyone is full participation at the launch of this event. It's going to be a hybrid event. There's going to be a physical version of it in Ghana, and then there's going to be links to the online version for participation across Africa. So in terms of, I was actually supposed to speak today, but because of other engagements right now, I'm just going to keep it short. The theme for today is hospitality and inclusiveness in tourism. I also represent an organization called Purple Science Global. It's an international telecommunications union award-winning company for innovations around disability inclusion in tourism. And it's also part of the United Nations World Tourism Organization. we've got a scholarship right now for inclusive tourism. So from that perspective, I understand inclusiveness. The whole idea is to make sure that the customer experience of anyone with a disability of any type is as high level as anyone without disability. So that's my representation of inclusion. So when I speak customer service, I think customer experience. How does, for example, how does a visually impaired person experience travel packages that we have to offer in the travel and tourism space? How does a person who's deaf experience the roar of a lion from the tourism space? So these are things that we have never really gotten into, but they're something that we need to be a part of as well. So what we've done as an organization and as part of the Africa Youth and Tourism Network is we're launching the Africa Travel, Tourism and Disability Expo and Awards. They're going to be happening 1 to 3 December this year. And we're expecting full participation from this network, as well as the Africa Tourism Board, the Africa Airlines Association. They've already taken interest in this. So we're going to have representations from those. We're going to be having representations from research, academia, universities, the hospitality space within Africa. And we expect participation from externals in the diaspora who have already become accustomed to providing good products and services when it comes to disability inclusion. So this is going to be happening later during the year. As we're connecting, you're going to realize part of the network that we're creating as youth, as well as the high power of innovation that we're moving towards in the tourism space. So that's largely what we're up to. So when you think Africa Youth in Tourism, we want you to think largely youth are up to the age of 35, but we expect the experience of those who've been in industry for a long time to also come into play. And also, we want to learn from their mistakes, because I'll give you a simple example. When was the last time you walked into a restaurant that actually has a menu in Braille? You've probably never done that, not because it's not possible, but because there's been a gap in the understanding of the customer experience of a blind customer. When was the last time you went to an event and saw sign language interpretation, except when it's a national event and probably the national office is providing that service? So these are some of the things that we're tackling as part of the inclusive nature of the travel and tourism industry. So at the end of the day, what I want you to take out of all of this is this. The space for inclusion has largely been ignored, and it's our time as youth, the people who are driving the agenda of the Africa Agenda 2063, to make sure this becomes a reality by 2063. The incumbents right now, who are the leaders of today, they're already in their 60s, 50s, they're close to retirement. 40 years from now, that's 2063, they will probably not be around. The people who are going to be around driving the agenda of what's possible in travel and tourism are the youth of today. And Africa already has like more than 60% of it being youth. So we need to take advantage of our strong point as youth. We need to also aggressively attack these goals. Our older people have the capital, they already have the resources, but we need to take the baton stick and make sure we move forward, driving the inclusive tourism agenda, driving hospitality from a totally different customer experience. And the only way that's going to happen is by full participation from both everyone in this network, Africa Youth and Tourism Network, as well as everyone else who's going to be a part of the programs that we are going to be having moving forward. So yeah, I represent AYT Network as an executive director. We are finalizing documentation on making sure it's a registered entity across all of Africa. So as long as that is happening, we expect participation from anyone who wants to be a part of it. If you want to make noise about the growth of the tourism product by African youth, do it. We also want to connect with youth from other continents, Asia, Europe, the Americas, the Australasia, the Antarctica. We want to connect with youth from across the world to improve the experience that we have as youth in tourism. Because as much as we can exhaust our tourism in Africa, we also want to participate in tourism activities from across other continents. So let's enjoy the space. I expect everyone to smile moving forward. Let's keep a smile. Let the tourism space give a smile to anyone who participates in it. And that totally includes people with disabilities. That totally includes the tall, the short, the dark, the black, the white, the yellow. It totally includes everyone. So let's make inclusion a total thing. All right, so yeah, thank you. Let me sign off. I have other engagements to be a part of, but thank you very much for the opportunity. And yeah, God bless everyone. Yesterday was Africa Day. We all know what that meant. The unity that was brought together by our forefathers was really important, but it's something that happened through sacrifice, because most of them were killed because of their adherence to wanting to have those African values raised across Africa. We are in a different generation. We have at least some sort of freedom of expression. So let's keep it moving. So yeah, if anyone has any questions right now, let me answer them, but please keep it short. I'll just accept like up to 4 questions at most, and then I can sign off and you guys can continue. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Julia, go.
Dominic.
Yes, may I ask? Okay.
Go.
Sorry.
Yes, you can
All right.
go ahead.
Thank you, Dominic. Thank you. Before you take off, thank you for talking about inclusion, and I'll be quick. Can you please, as part of the group, can we, let me say we, also look at how we come up with packages that can make sure that our inclusivity also includes people who are marginalized economically, because it is generally quite sad when people are born and die in that space without having had an opportunity to even leave the village or the township that they come from. So maybe within the strategy of inclusion, we should actually look at how we come up with packages. I know as kids, there would be trips, whether in a bus or whether it's camps. And those were the only opportunities that people from poor communities would ever get a chance to travel. Yeah, that's what the other area. And then the other aspect is, I know that the elderly, okay, you're saying they're the dying nation, but in most cases, they're the ones who have the time to travel. So let's also maybe include that how we look at opportunities to allow, obviously the ones who are well enough to travel, the elderly who never had an opportunity, who can experience things like such as short left. I mean, they don't have to travel overseas or very far, but we can look at programs that can give them that opportunity, because travel does have a healing experience to it. Yeah, those are the parts I'd like to include in your program. Thank you again for your thoughts and including the disability people with disability.
All right, Madam Juliet, brilliant thoughts. Thank you very much for that contribution. For sure, what we're doing with inclusion is making sure for sure that every aspect of tourism does tap into everything from the generation that's about to get into tourism, like the little ones, the ones in lower grades and all that. We want them to understand that travel should be part of their culture. Naturally, I'll give you, for example, if you look at the reports for South Africa tourism on the nature of the people who do the most tourism, it has largely been the white community, because they've developed a culture of travel, of finding new ways to enjoy the environment, to learn more about the spaces around them. And the Black community has largely just have been more about bread and butter issues. But we want travel and tourism to become part of those bread and butter issues. The same way you look for meal for your kids, you should be looking for a trip for your kids. You should take the same priority in terms of growing their mindset in terms of what's possible out there. So thank you very much for that contribution. Yeah, any other question or that I can take? Like, can I have just 2 more? Then yeah, I'll be fine. But thank you, Madam Juliet.
Mrs. Dominic, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, Mr.
Hello.
Yes, I can.
Yes. Regarding purpose signs, there are some solutions that you've rolled out, some devices, I think, for people with disability on how to engage them in tourism. So how can that be expanded? How can other entrepreneurs in tourism get to engage on that?
Also,
All right. Yeah.
additional, I would like to speak in regards to maybe youth in tourism starting a study abroad program where we can take the youth from here and abroad in Africa, and then we can like swap out and they can learn here and they can learn there. So they're actually getting hands-on educational needs as well as tourism.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Madame Regina, for that. Let me comment on both aspects. For sure, an exchange program right now needs to just become part of our DNA. We need to exchange values. We need to exchange information. We need to exchange innovations as well. Like Mr. Josh is saying, with Purple Science Global, what we're doing is we're distributing a new way of interacting with a person with a disability in a totally different way. We're creating immersive experiences for any tourism product within the industry, from the physical venues to the advertisements to the media, to anything related to literally traveling and in the tourism sector. So what we've done right now is the first thing that we did is Purple Science Global, after the recognition that we got from these different United Nations bodies, what we've decided to do is have the solutions working in different countries. So what we're doing right now, we're looking for partners, any tourism partner, whether you already own your hotel space, your whatever you own, your little tourism space, you engage us, we allow you to, we assess your level of inclusivity within your facility. We then start referring people towards your facility with support from our products and services. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to send through my email address. You guys can just use it within the group, or you can get in touch with Mr. Josh, and we see how we can engage as partners to make sure this happens. We're already operating with the Mystical Safaris in Malawi, and we're already engaging at a high level. So we expect, we already South Africa, Ghana, we already have associations there. So what I expect is out of this, because the time is limited, where we can only say so much in a short forum. But what I expect is this: outside of this, let's engage even more. Let's get each other's contact details. What's going to happen later on just during this year is going to be the Africa Travel, Tourism and Disability Expo and Awards, the first event like that in Africa. So we're going to make sure that everyone within the AYT network, whether you're coming as an individual or as a company, you're involved in that. So once we do that, we make sure for sure there's growth in the possibilities that are there when it comes to inclusion. I like the inclusion of the younger guys to make sure they grow up with the culture of travel and tourism. Inclusion of the older guys, they have the funds and the time to also have them represent the possibilities of what's out there, because they have the financing to support the lower level guys, and also inclusion of the poorer people to say, you know what, your search for salt should be the same as your search for understanding of new worlds, new environments around you, because that enriches your ability to innovate, your ability to grow outside of the comfort zone. So thank you, everyone. I had a brilliant time with this, and for sure, I will definitely send through my details. I want to tickle your mind a little. One thing that we're also involved in as Purple Science Global is geotourism and geoparks. We're also involved in climate change. We're involved in all the SDGs because they kind of impact tourism in some way. And we are happy to network with anyone who wants to be part of the movement towards inclusion. So as AYT network and as Purple Science Global representative, I am very happy for this opportunity. Thank you, everyone. If I can have just one more question, if it's available, that will be enough. Then I can sign off. Thank you.
Well, before you go, what I'd like to do is direct your attention to the chat. I'm sure Joshua or someone else can save it for you. This is Andrew Williams Jr. Thank you so much for your presentation. But on your last note before you go, I would like to share with you the ongoing project that most of the team here is involved with, and it focuses on climate change, because the countries where most people are expected to die from the adverse impacts of climate change, as you can see on the map here at the top, the darker areas are the places where people are most likely to die from the adverse impact of climate change. At the map at the bottom shows existing what they call the local network infrastructure for the United Nations Global Compact, of which we are members. At the top, you'll see that we have actually included not just our key nonprofit organizations, but this is driven by my corporation, PRXTC Export Trading Company, because the idea is that we need to engage businesses with this collaborative to connect the dots between the $130 trillion that major corporations have already committed to spend to address these issues with organizations like African Youth in Tourism, who are the ones at the bottom line and the grassroots organizations. So what this looks like is Sustainable Development Goal number 17, Partnerships for Development. Well, you'll see that in addition to us, or me as president of 5 Points Youth Foundation, I've also engaged Global Peace Let's Talk and the Armel Williams Foundation, whose CEO, Joyce Williams, will be joining us in another hour. But I did want to let you know that we have a plan in place that's not new. There's an existing blueprint. The UN Global Compact has a 2021 through 2023 global strategy and an African specific strategy. I'm suggesting we educate ourselves about that, particularly those of you in Nigeria, where the first hub will be set up. The idea is to have 5 hubs set out throughout the entire continent of Africa that actually aligns with the African Union's Agenda 2063 first 10-year implementation plan that ends next year. So the better we can align ourselves with existing projects, the better we will be able to take advantage of those opportunities. So I'll share this link in the chat with others, but we do have a plan, and the idea is for us to work together to accomplish that objective. Thank you very much. The floor is back to you, Regina. If available.
Hello.
Well, Michael,
Okay.
Coles, I see your hand raised.
For that,
Mr. Coles.
yeah, thank you for that update. I totally agree. And
I'm sorry. I thought I didn't know my phone was on mute. Yes, who do we have next to speak?
Well, Dominic was making a reply. Thank you.
Yeah, man, thank you for that contribution for sure. That's why I say outside of this, we definitely need to engage, because we are aligning with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, as well as Africa's Agenda 2063. And as long as we are in the same direction, I know for sure we will have synergies that we can take advantage of. So thank you very much for that. Let's engage outside of this platform. But yeah, I'm happy we met, and yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yes,
Joshua can reach me. Michael Coles, I see your hand raised. Please introduce yourself first, Mr. Coles.
Yes, good day. Thank you very much, Andrew. My name is Michael Coles. I currently reside on the unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples on the west coast of Canada, British Columbia, known as British Columbia. I just wanted to deal with a subject that Dominic was speaking about when it comes to the tourism and so forth. Coming out of COVID and everything else, just a little bit about myself as well. I am retired from the hospitality tourism industry of 30 years. I had my own travel agencies. I've done everything from wholesale, retail, contract negotiations, renting planes, pretty much everything that's been associated with travel. First started travel school in Vancouver with a few other people as well. But I retired when I was 50. I got out of the Babylon rat race, as people like to call it, and semi-retired. Keeping in mind a mentality that the hospitality tourism industry is one of the most wasteful industries on this planet. It always has been. So much food is wasted as well, like as far as like hotels and things like this. Back in the day when we used to cut down trees to make brochures and everything else, thank God we have digital. But I'm sure everybody who's ever been into a travel agency can testify that when they walk in, all they see is a lot of paper and people. This also transfers to where the people travel to. The idea of, in Canada, I deal with a lot of Indigenous peoples here on different subjects and things as well. The main thing about the tourism industry is that because of COVID, international travel is going to take about 3 to 5 years to get back to any consistency in safety, mentality of safety. People always cancel due to, things of conflict where they're going and so forth. But it's the psychology of people wanting to know that they're going to be safe in a place where they're going. And so that has to be built back up in that trust. And so when people are talking about designing programs, one of the first things that you need to do is really address that situation. And the way that some of my colleagues now are doing it as well, during the COVID, I was asked to come in and help to build some things on domestic. You'll find that a lot of people will, and I'm sure in the countries where you are, the people are more interested in domestic travel at this moment than they are in international travel, i.e. sending people away to all-inclusive resorts and as such. So the whole aspect of changing our industry of hospitality and tourism is to adapt an education system into it, so that when someone is traveling to a place of interest, i.e., we have many programs that go to Egypt to see the pyramids and things like this and whatnot. But when it comes into the education, the reason why people want to travel other than just getting away from their job, for a week and not have to think about anything and relax, is that people want to go to a place because they're interested in what that culture, what that place has to offer, from their, in their curiosity. So in designing your local programs and everything, you want to look at making your connections with your domestic resources. Obviously, we have here in Canada, we have a very large land mass, and the land has a lot to offer to the education. And that's a main theme of getting people back to the land and into a sustainable environment and working ethics with their people. So there's many things that need to be considered in this area going forward, because everything has changed. The last major change we had was when September 11 happened. That changed the industry like huge max, even the airplanes, visas, state departments, a whole bunch of stuff. Everybody became a protectionist. So if to bring a quality product, people are demanding more for the money in the aspect of, and they care about what they're going to do with their money, i.e., you know, they want to make sure that they're putting their money into something that's not going to be a detrimental situation to where they're going, right? People are, even with investments, people are you know, moving their money away from oil and, you know, other colonial constructs in that business that hold everybody down in this world. But when we come into the for our travel, the main thing that need to focus is on that relationships of the community. And your organization is fantastic in doing that. I've been witnessing you for a number of years now, and I'm happy to see that Lloyd is representing us here in Canada in the Markham region. I'm from Toronto, Canada as well, so myself. I was born there. And but if we have a collaboration of resources that allow an avenue of education that is given and proposed to the people who are traveling, whether it be in a domestic situation or foreign. This is a major game plan as far as, you know, being able to be successful in the future in your business, in what you're trying to do. So I just wanted to give a bit of a roundabout on that aspect from my perspective of being in the travel business and so forth. And I want to wish you guys also all the
well, thank you so much, and I'm sure Lloyd will be able to be in touch. Thank you so much
for what you're trying to do in that.
Well, we're actually what we're doing, and we're co-creating it. So you're welcome to pitch in. Regina, back to you.
Thank you.
Hey, yes, could you drop your information in the chat for us, please? So that everyone could connect.
Are you speaking to me, Gina?
Yes.
Yes, I'm speaking to you, Michael. I'm speaking to you, Michael. Yes.
Okay. Yes.
So how do you see your vision and your goal aligning with African youth and tourism? Michael, did you hear me?
Yes. I just heard something about youth projects.
Yes, I said, how do you see your goal and your vision of your organization aligning with African youth and tourism? Do you think that we can collaborate?
Well, there's always ways of collaborating, but for myself, I'm like I said, I'm retired, semi-retired. I'm not in the industry anymore. I was in the industry for over 30 years. Just during the pandemic, friend of mine who owns a travel agency in Ontario called Just Travel Deals and Marina Travel. That's who I had done some work with in the past. He asked me to design and get in contact with different the indigenous tourism here in Canada in order to help also to build product for the domestic travel, because a lot of people are here anyways as well, but the mentality is that I've understood is quite prevalent around the world as far as people having an interest, because we've been locked down for so long, and that people are wanting to know what's in their communities or what's in their states and so forth. So with youth programs and everything else, if we develop an avenue for situations where you have a product where you're bringing the elders and the youth together, I can see that being a good way of making those connections. But as far as just like youth products and things like this, I mean, so many companies in the world have done stuff like that already, you know, targeting mostly the 18 to 35 market, right? And there's multiple companies that, you know, offer different youth, different experiences in the travel with other youth as well too, that they don't know and so forth. You know, Australia is a big attractor for the youth, you know, because anything that is an active situation. In my experience, there's two types of travelers in this world. There are the people who are the bubble travelers and the people who are outside the box and want to stay inside the box. The bubble people, basically, you are the person who wants all the amenities that they have in their life there. They want to have that accessible when they get there. And i.e. that would be, you know, their comfortable situations, like all-inclusive packages, you know, all that kind of stuff, where they just want you to come and stay, spend all your money at that one place, and then they don't leave the resort, and so they don't even get to know the people in that community of which they went into. They just want to go sit there, drink, eat, everything else, and then go back to their jobs. That industry is pretty much dying, or has been dying for a while. So if you want to deal with bringing youth into a different space where they're getting to be exposed to different ways of thinking, ways of knowing, ways of understanding, that would be a focus that I would look towards, if that's answering your question at all. As far as you asked me about my organization, like I said, I don't have any organizational attachments at this point and so forth. But anything for the youth, I live in service to other people, and this time in my life. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for all of that fundamental information and sharing with us. We really appreciate it. I think now we're going to go into our break.
If I get to understand what it is that you're trying to achieve on a more deeper level, I'd be happy to give up my expertise or any connections or things that I can contribute to the success of your projects. Not a problem.
Definitely, I really appreciate that. Someone will be in touch in regards to that. And I thank you for sharing all that information. We really appreciate it. Do anyone have any questions for Michael before we go into our break?
No, but the AYT network WhatsApp channel group is going to be in the chat. So Michael, you can click the link to join our WhatsApp channel if you don't mind. The link will be in the chat.
Okay.
Juliet, you have your hand up.
Yes, no, my hand up. I appreciate the speech and the tone, the sentiments shared by Michael and his concern about wastage, because I'm always concerned about food security and those type of things. But I'm hoping he's going to join the organization. But I wanted to contribute just before the break. It's a 50-second poem. It's about, I think it's very relevant to, it's about Africa. It's called I'm an African. It's linked to Africa Day, and also it's very relevant to our topic. Can we have it played, please? I've sent it to Prince Andrew. I think it'd be good to go to the break with it. Regina?
Definitely. Do anybody want to read out the poem, or do it plays on its own?
No, it's an audio. It's recorded.
Okay, that's no
Prince Andrew,
problem.
can you please play it?
Yeah. Yes. Are you ready now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to share my screen with today's topic, and then I'll begin the music play. Just a second, please. Oh, Juliet, do you have it? Do you have it, Juliet? No?
I've sent it to you on WhatsApp. I have it.
Okay. No,
I'll send it to you on WhatsApp. I don't know if you're able to open it.
I have it. I can open it, but I thought I heard you play it. Do you have it?
No, it's my phone ringing. No, that's my phone ringing. Sorry.
Okay, very well. Then this is the break for the AYT Network Seminar Series. Today is May the 26th, 2022. And I'm going to stop recording and then begin recording again, so that we won't have such a long or such a big file to work with. So please bear with me. I'm going to stop recording and then start again.